the way we connected was through Tairrie B, who I've always, just wanted to know more about her career. To give you an idea of myself, Eazy was the person that made me fall in love with hip hop. When I heard the NWA Posse album, 87, 86, 87, whenever it came out, I was hooked and I needed it. You know what I mean? So as I get older, and especially around the advent of the internet, I'm seeing Eazy pictures with this white chick and a very attractive white woman. I'm like, who is this girl? And then you kind of go deeper into it. And there's very, very limited information on the internet about Tairrie B's rap career specifically. Her career continued into rock, and she's still doing music from what I understand to this day, but very little is out there about her career. But you were with her during the early days. Can you give us an idea of who Tairrie B is and how you guys connected? And I just need to know more about her.
Okay, well, so to clarify, I actually wasn't with her back then. That was actually recently.
Gotcha.
And she was making a new record. So here's the cool thing about social media. What I do is when I put out one of my mixes or do my show, I'll tag artists. Now, most of them just ignore you. You don't hear anything. But I had tagged her, and that caught her attention. So she went and listened, and then she messaged me and complimented me on my mixes and what I was doing and everything. And so that's how we actually connected. And we were reminiscing about songs from back in the day and everything. And so I've had some pretty in-depth conversations about her or with her about that whole era. A lot of it I won't go into, just because she's doing a book so she's saving a lot of that for the book as well. So I'll be careful about what I do know from back then. But there is some stuff that's online, and so I can talk about that in conjunction with what she told me. But so back then, she was actually in another group, and they were on Delicious Vinyl, and what was that other? I don't remember what the other. I do, but
I'll look it up while you're talking.
She was with another group, but she didn't like. They had a song that was like popular too. Was it Power 106 or it was down one of the stations down there and down in LA, and it was popular. But eventually she fell out with that group or whatever, and then she got off of that label, Delicious Vinyl. Now, eventually I don't remember how it was, but someone told her that there was, what was it? I think she actually met Jerry Heller, and he said, well, hey, come down to Audio Achievements down in Torrance and come in and audition. So she said, okay. So she goes there, and she walks in, and she said everyone's just looking at her. Eazy's there, Dre's there, Ren, Cube, all of them are there, and then other people as well. So they put her song in, they play it, and they're all just listening to it, and they're not saying anything. So she's like, okay, they absolutely hate this. So then she's like, okay, well, when the song's over, she's like, all right, well, thanks a lot, you guys have a good day. And then Eazy was like, well, hey, wait a minute, do you want a record deal? So that's how that started. Now, obviously, there's the issues of. Okay, so she had a producer at the time, QD3, Quincy Jones Jr. the third. And if you notice on that record, which is the only record on Comptown Records, which I think was distributed. I remember I used to get that record, and I think it was through MCA was the distribution. I could be wrong, but
right, correct.
Okay, yeah, and it was really cool. So I really enjoyed talking to her because I used to play her stuff back then, and and everyone I knew was like in love with her because she had that look, and and so anyways, okay, so she had her own producer, but like Dre wanted to produce her stuff, but she was like, well, I already have a producer, and and I don't think so. Dre had a reputation back then for the allegations of him, beating women and stuff had already been circulating down there.
D Barnes on Pump It Up.
Yeah, and I don't think that the D Barnes thing had happened at that point. Maybe it had. I don't think it did though. Not at this point. But he was still, he was known for. Everybody was young and back then, everybody's different, so I don't think my impression was she really didn't care for him that much. And if you listen to the song, Rufus, BITC, she talks about him obviously in there. She didn't, he appeared arrogant to her, and she didn't like that, So she chose not. She passed on having him produce any of the tracks because she had QD3, and she wasn't going to let him just hang out to dry. She's like, well, no, I'm not going to just. Yeah, I get a deal, and I'm just going to, the guy that's been with me at this point, I'm not just going to turn my back on him, which is cool. You got to commend her for that. Now, let's see. Can I talk? I don't know if I could talk about that. Obviously, there was drama and stuff happened, and after the drama that happened, there's an interview online where she talks about it. The relationship got really weird. The whole environment got really weird because she'd have to go to the studio with a gun, just because she didn't feel safe, and so that would be really weird. I mean, imagine if you're at that point where you're on this label and you go to make music and you have to bring a gun with you, you're probably not going to have a lot of enthusiasm for that, And I think that had that not happened, there probably would have been better promotion for her album, especially, on that song. So they wanted to do a grand finale type of thing, right? And she was like, no, I'm not going to. They were all supposed to get on there and call her a bitch and all this stuff. And she's like, no, I'm not going to have you guys on my record get on there and call me a bitch. And then she was supposed to come in on the last verse and cut them all up. She didn't like that, And one thing about Tairrie that I really like is she is a very, if she believes in something, she's going to stick with that. She's loyal. She's a good person. She'll call you out on something, and if she doesn't like something, she's not going to do it, So she made her song. Now in that song, if you want to know, there's other people that she's talking about. One of them is one of those girls in that group that she was with before. I still don't remember that group.
Yeah, I was looking for it myself. I can't find it, but keep going.
Yeah, and she was also at that time going out with Everlast, because you remember Everlast from House of Pain was with the Rhyme Syndicate. And so if you look back at some of those other videos, like the one I Got the Knack by is it Everlast or is it Rhyme Cards? I think it's Everlast. I Got the Knack. You'll see Tairrie in there. And you also, if you go and you see look at some of the earlier Schoolie D videos, you'll see Tairrie in there as well, because she's always had a really good relationship with Schoolie D, So she dissed some other people in there. And at that point her and Everlast were falling out. So, so there's, you can put that together and listen to who she's talking about, and knowing she was going out with Everlast at that time. But, so then, she wasn't motivated for any of that anymore, because it was a very toxic environment. And then she happened to see Body Count, Ice-T's group, and she loved the energy. She just loved the whole vibe that she felt from that. And, just like Ice-T had said, he said no one ever told him he was never supposed to like rock music. He didn't know that. He didn't know he wasn't supposed to like it, and if you like music, then that, why should you not like music just because you're a rapper, or if you're a rock musician, why would you hate rap music just because you're rock, and especially if you look at early hip hop, I mean, back then you had, so Play That Beat punk rock, new wave, and soul. That whole the different genres that he lists, that Globe lists in that song. Hip hop encompassed everything. I mean, you had Kraftwerk, you had Africa Bambaataa on the Soul Son, of course, imitating Kraftwerk basically. You had the electro sound, you had the art of noise, beatbox, and they had that futuristic electronic sound. The Malcolm McLaren. Hip hop was a lot different. Then it kind of expanded, but it seemed like it narrowed as well. But anyway, so when she heard Body Count, she just loved it. She's like, man, I would rather do this, and so that's what she wanted to do. She has said that Eazy-E was not portrayed correctly in the movie. She said Eazy-E was not afraid of anyone, so anything about him being afraid of Suge or anything like that, totally not true. And he taught Tairrie some good lessons as well. He's like, look, I mean, Eazy-E knew he wasn't the biggest dude, but he was not afraid of anybody, and so he would. And he wasn't, times. But yeah, and he wasn't, but he wasn't like a bully. He wasn't going out trying to just, he didn't appear to have the Napoleon, short man's complex, if he had a hand. Yeah, exactly. But he wasn't out like trying to beat up, punk a bunch of people and stuff like that, but, so she said he wasn't portrayed accurately in the movie as far as that goes. But she just had a lot of respect for him. He was a really good person. There was a lot of speculation about, Eazy was hitting that, and no, that was not true. Of course, honestly, I wasn't there, but if she tells me that, she's someone that I know, whatever she tells me, I can trust. She's not one of those people that has that reputation of lying and stuff like that. So she says it, I believe it. That whole era was, again, just like with the Sir Mix-a-Lot era up in the Northwest, that whole era back then was just incredible. The CIA, the NWA, Eazy-E, the Tairrie B, the DOC, all of that stuff that they did is just absolutely amazing, but man. Yeah, anyway, so, so when I connected with her, she was working on a new album, and she asked if I wanted to, because she liked my scratching and mixing and everything, and we were like on the same page, because she was really into turntablism. She loved like the radio Joe Cooley, how Joe Cooley would mix on the records. She loved low profile DJ Aladdin, all of that, and so I reminded her of that. I kind of had like that type of energy, So we did I did a couple remixes of her song from her album. Feminine Energy is the name of that album, and that was right before the election, the 2020 election with Donald Trump. And I actually did a couple other remixes that she didn't release. And those are released on Bandcamp. But I did another one that was actually pretty cool, Knox Villain, and for whatever reason, she didn't release it. I think because, well, I don't know. I know she started working on the other album that she just released recently, because she married. So when she got into, well, let me back up again. So she met with Eazy-E, and basically he gave her the green light to do whatever she wanted to do. So that's how she went to into that genre of music, and she loved it. She loved it. Was, she didn't have to worry about going to the studio, bringing a gun, whenever she's going to have to get in a fight with some guy, yeah. So, yeah, but, yeah, and then she eventually met her now husband, Mick. He's a super cool dude too. So the funny thing is, I got to tease him about it. He doesn't like the 808, the boom. Right. And he always teases her. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Are you serious? How can you not like that? Yeah. I know, yeah. So I made sure that anything that I was doing with her, I put the 808 in there, In fact, I had to go and add it on all the tracks that I was doing. So if you notice on those ones that I'm on, you'll hear 808 in there as well.
Love that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
dope, dude. Hey, I appreciate everything, man. I want to give you a chance before we close out to talk about anything you have coming up, any last words, any shout outs, anything you want to do. The floor is yours, and take as long as you want.
Okay, so currently, as far as radio, still on the radio. I'm on KFOX Night Beat with DJ Nastiness, which is every Sunday night from 9 to 11 p.m. Pacific on RainierAvenueRadio.world. That's a cool show. It's a old school show, but we also do the what is called the Fresh Tracks portion, where we'll play a new song. And we have different DJs too. You know, some of the other classic DJs like Rex Santa Elena, who's from the Bay Area. And we'll feature other DJs as well, like Glenn Ari. We got DJ Budget Money out of Portland. We got DJ Mark Martin, who was one of the original Spectrum Club DJs. We had a DJ T on there as well, Native America's #1 DJ. And now I also do my own show called Global Frequency, which can be heard every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Pacific. And that's on iHeartRadio as well as Rebel 107.9. And I can also be heard every day at 5 p.m. Pacific on KPIU Radio. So that one, you just go to the pumpitupmagazine.com every day at 5 and you'll hear that. But once a month, I was just added as a Drive at 5 mixer on Seattle C89.5, which is the longest running dance music station on the planet. Of course, that's at 5 p.m. Pacific. And the cool thing about that is because, you know, even though I'm playing like, I'll play the dance music, but remember hip hop originally, you know, had that dance music component. And so I try and represent the DJs from back in the day, because I have more of the master mix style that the other DJs don't do, which it still works today. People still like it, you know, and I think a lot of people, maybe they phased out of it because it's not, it's a lot more preparation than just playing a few songs. You know, you get your playlist and mix the songs, you know. So I'll sneak in the classics as well. And I also DJ at the MMA events for Excite Fight MMA, which are the MMA shows put together by my head coach from Sig Jitsu, Rick Little. And if you follow MMA, then you'll know that former world champion Juliana Pena, she came out of Sig Jitsu, as well as Michael Chiesa, who won the Ultimate Fighter, Sam Cecilia, Brady Heastan, who's a Tough 29 finalist. He should have won, but he was fighting the whole show on one leg because he had a bad knee. He's current UFC fighter right now. Juliana Killer Miller, who she's not originally from our gym. She's from San Diego, 10th Planet, but she now trains at our gym as well, along with Melissa Amaya, who's an undefeated pro MMA fighter. So I do those events as well for them. And then anything that comes up, you know, I do remixes. I'm doing I was doing some tracks with JJ Hudson, but I think, I don't know, she's doing like some other stuff, and you know, but yeah. So if anyone's open to, you want a remixer or whatever, you need a DJ to do some stuff, you know, hit me up. I am available, and I love doing it too. You know, we only live once, so we might as well make the most of it. And you know, with the MMA events too, those are quite frequent. Oh, and then also next month I'm DJing at the Looney show. You know, Loonies, I got 5 on it. That's on St. Patrick's Day. So the cool thing about that is I'm actually right the day before I'm DJing in Montana for an MMA event. Although that's not for our Sig Jitsu, it's for Absolute Fight Factory. They're friends of ours, and they're putting on a show out there. So I'm going to go DJ for that, and then come back next day and do the Loonies. And then and I also make once a month I do guest appearances on this station in Spokane, KYRS, which is terrestrial radio as well. And that's cool because we focus on playing the local artists and independent artists. So if any indie artists out there want to get played up here, just hit me up. And you can hit me up on Instagram. That's probably the best way at Grand Mixer GMS, not Grandmaster, Grand Mixer GMS. And so I do that as well. So and I think that's about it.